Chapter 20. Swords and Society. From the veiled letters of Seraphine the Listener, etched in wax and iron before the fourth court. Not all blades are drawn from scabbards. Some smile, some sip wine, some wear silk like armor and speak in riddles made of rank. The old dance sharpens its steps. One misstep, and laughter becomes laceration. 3 stood at the threshold of polished halls, smelling of smoke, sweat, and ghosts. And the court, it always remembers the scent of blood beneath perfume. Steel clashed in the Ashen Tales training yard, a rhythm as sharp as a heartbeat. The morning sun beat down on scorched flagstones and sweating brows. Dust curled underfoot with each pivot and strike, coating boots and bare arms in a pale sheen. Wooden blades cracked together, echoing through the stone courtyard. Kael and Thorn sparred with a stubbornness that had long abandoned elegance. Thorn's shirt was half untucked, sticking to his back with sweat. He stumbled on loose gravel, blade nearly slipping from his hands. Thorn panted, sweat streaming as he leaned on his sword. All we're forging is sweat. Kael grinned as he parried the next strike. Sweat's honest, beats bleeding. Their swords met again with a dull thok, more brawl than ballet. The clamor of effort clashed with the background hum of servants preparing for the day. Brooms sweeping, shutters swinging open, banners rising with the wind. From the yard's edge, Captain Garrick Doonhall watched, arms folded over his broad chest. His expression was carved from stone, but a faint smirk lingered under his grizzled beard. Garrick barked from the yard's edge, voice cutting through the clash of swords. Scythes don't parry, boys. Flail like that in a duel, and you'll be dead before your next breath. Again. Kael adjusted his stance, jaw tight. His legs ached, and his grip had begun to slip from sweat. He hated how often he got close, almost turning Thorn's blade, almost forcing a surrender. Progress felt like dragging a plow through stone. Thorn wheezed, propping himself up. I thought harvesting tobacco taught me coordination. Kael snorted, wiping his brow with the back of his hand. A scythe's for grass. This is for keeping your head attached. Despite aching arms and growing blisters, neither yielded. Pride outweighed Tain. They squared off again, but the rhythm shattered as thundering hooves echoed from the gate. A liveried servant burst through the archway, waving wildly. Behind him rode a herald cloaked in sapphire, astride a horse as black and gleaming as river obsidian. He dismounted with practiced grace, boots landing cleanly on the gravel. The courtyard stilled, as if nobility itself had dropped into the dust. Even Garrick's brow lifted. Sunlight struck the scroll, and suddenly Kael felt underdressed, in sweat and grit. His gloved hand produced a scroll of thick parchment, sealed in gold. He snapped it open with the crispness of ceremony. The herald's voice rang out, clear and commanding. By Her Highness, Princess Eliana Delavar, Lady of Light, Keeper of the Ninth Flame, Thorn of Estenvale, Kael and Fergus of Cinderfeld are summoned to a noble gathering for the planting season. Royal Palace. 2 nights hence. Silence fell like a blade. Kael blinked. 2 nights? Let out a breath that was half a laugh. No escaping that. A familiar voice slid between them like silk. Swords down, boys. You'll need both feet unbroken for what comes next. Kael glanced at his blistered heels. He wasn't sure they were ready for silk shoes. He stepped into the sun, robes trailing like smoke, eyes gleaming. Thorn scowled, half joking. I talk fine enough for the palace. Ashenvale responded flatly, unimpressed. You talk like a pig wrestler with an inheritance. The The court will sniff out your roots before you open your mouth." Thorn rolled his eyes, but Kael noticed the way his hands fidgeted with his cufflinks. Beneath the smirk, he was unraveling too. Kael frowned. A royal ball, with noble houses watching? Ashenvale's tone shifted, low and edged. Ashenvale's voice took on an edge. "It's not a ball, it's a stage. Every glance is a blade, every word is bait. One misstep, and the room carves you to pieces while smiling." Garrick strode forward, clapping Kael on the shoulder. "You'd be better off crossing blades with bandits than noble tongues. At least steel's honest." Ashenvale waved them toward the manor. "Come. Polishing blades is simple. Polishing men, much harder." The manor swelled with chaos the moment they stepped through the great doors. Tailors darted through halls carrying bolts of silk and brocade. Tutors bickered in hallways over dance tempos. Harried servants swirled through the chambers with trays of tea, combs, and perfume samples. The main ballroom had been cleared for dance practice. Mirrors lined one wall, so clean they seemed made of water. In their reflection, Kael caught the sight of himself. Sweaty, scuffed, eyes wide. He looked like a boy in a soldier's boots. Kael shifted his weight uneasily. The shoes pinched. The borrowed vest was too tight across the shoulders. His reflection didn't match the man he felt like. It looked like he'd dressed in someone else's life. Thorn muttered under his breath, "I'd rather take 10 duels than dance the fox step in a room full of lords." Ashenvale stood in the center of the mirrored floor, arms folded. "It's the flame waltz, more perilous by far." Fergus poked his head in, soot-smudged and grinning. "Did someone say dancing? I'll be in the back with the wine." Kael gave a shaky laugh, eyeing his reflection again. "What if I trip?" Ashenvale's voice sharpened. "Then you recover like it was planned. Confidence conceals chaos." Garrick leaned toward Kael and advised quietly, "Treat it like swordplay. Anticipate your opponent. Keep your footing." The doors opened again, and a music instructor swept in, stiff-backed and frowning. A violinist followed, tuning with a slow flourish. The first notes of the flame waltz trickled into the hall. They didn't sound like music. They sounded like footsteps in a corridor where something waited at the end. By evening, the polished hallways had quieted, though echoes of violins still lingered beyond the ballroom walls. Kael limped to a bench, shoes half off, feet blistered. Thorn collapsed beside him, pulling off his stiff collar like it was choking him. Thorn collapsed onto the bench beside Kael. "I can't feel my toes." "Or my pride," Kael panted, breath still shallow. "At least we didn't knock over the Countess in training." Fergus appeared, hair wild, arms smudged with soot. "You two look like you fought a chimera." Thorn grimaced and leaned back. Worse, a choreographed one. Ashenvale walked past, dropping 2 books on Kael's lap. "Etiquette and conversational gambits. Memorize them. Tomorrow we learn the bow and the toast." Thorn groaned at the weight of the expectation. "There's a book on toasting?" Ashenvale answered with a sigh. "Multiple." Kael looked at the gold-gilded cover. The script was elegant. The pages were stiff. The pressure in his chest tightened. Kael turned the book over in his hands. The leather cover was smooth, but the weight felt unnatural, like it carried expectations heavier than steel. His name might be on a guest list now, but his heart still lived in the fields. What if we don't belong there? Thorn didn't meet his eyes. Maybe we don't, but neither did half those silver spoon nobles. They just pretend better. Ashenvale turned. His voice was quiet, but it filled the space. "You already do. The question is, Can you prove it before the wolves bite? Ashenvale's gaze lingered on them both, sharp and sad all at once. Wolves never come at the beginning. They wait until you look like prey. The violinist struck a higher note, sweet and sharp as a blade drawn in courtly silence. The violinist continued to play in the hall beyond, each note a reminder. The dance was coming, and the blades, this time, were made of silk and whispered truths.